Rotten Israelites, the two best-selling books on these topics. After studying communications, his extensive work with the government opened up many opportunities for him to travel throughout the Caribbean as a journalist and a documentary sound man. His interests led him to Canada, where he's worked in film, theater, music, and producing, and where he has become an accomplished entertainer. Writing and teaching have become the priority of his life, and he is now a teacher and lecturer of the very important subject of Black history and culture. A most provocative communicator with a long-awaited message. It is my honor to present to you, Shadrock.
It seems to me that tonight we're going to be having a lively night. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings. And to my brethren, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
These are crucial times. These are trying times. These are times when the heart of the black man is crying out for peace. These are times when the heart of the white man is crying out for peace. But these are also times of racial conflict, war, and violence, and they know no end. A time when the white man needs to throw the blame on the black man for being the cause of his declining way of life. A time when the black man throws the blame on the white man for the terrible things he had done to him during and after slavery. These are the times when women are throwing the blame on men for the cause of oppression, keeping them locked up in the bedrooms and the kitchen all the days of their lives. These are the times when men are being married to men and women to women. A time when even the non-religious is crying shame on such practice. These are the times when men and women are fighting to save animals, when human beings are dying for starvation. These are the times when men and women are trying to save the trees in the forest and at the same time cutting them down to survive. These are the times of total confusion and double talk. Today I'm not going to talk to you about men and women in marriage, and I'm not going to talk to you about trees in the forest, and I'm not going to talk to you about animals. Today I'm not going to talk about those things, for everything has a time and a place. Today I'm going to talk to you about us, you and I. So this is as good a place as any, and now more than ever is a good time. The pathway to any man's happiness today lies in his ability to attain a certain amount of wealth. Having all his bills paid and be able to feed, clothe, and house himself and his family. That would place him in a category of a certain class, endowed with a certain degree of economic power. So let us talk about that power. We will talk about the black man and his dream for power, not control, but power. There are very few men who can handle power, for power is like a seedling that can die for the want of nourishment, or it can bloom and blossom into hatred and a high soul, corruption, and a total disregard for its surroundings, given the nourishment of ignorance. But again, power, if watered with the spirit of understanding, can be an asset to all mankind. Economic power, in the case of the black man, can never be achieved unless his heart is placed firmly on the watered ground of his spirituality. In other words, there can be no economic power for the black man if there is no development of a spiritual consciousness. You must be able to judge for yourself and judge yourself. Who am I? What is my purpose on this earth? This will allow your mind to plunder in the area of identity. So let us talk today about identity. Let us talk about identity and power. After you have taken a good look in a mirror and cleared your mind of false anxieties, after you have learned how to use the thumb of evaluation rather than the forefinger of accusation, then you will be ready to take the giant step into spiritual cleansing, setting the mind firmly on the parts of power, the power our foreparents had, the kind of power you only read about in the history books, the kind of power you read about in the Bible. Power, spiritual, then economic power. The time has come now for us to stop blaming the white man. The time has come now for us to stop looking to Africa. The time has come now for us to accept truth. And the truth is, we have not learned how to defeat the enemy within. We as an intelligent people are acting most of the time like pre-screwed brats, fighting among ourselves for the crumbs left by others, when we should have been able to provide a meat to feed others. You talk about the Bible. God had promised the children of Israel milk and honey, and it doesn't mean a whole set of cows, and it does not also mean a whole set of bees. The milk and honey is symbolic to bread and prosperity if they obey and carry out the functions that they're supposed to be carrying out. To obey the laws, the statutes, and the commandments given only to them. Others are being hypocritical of it and do not understand. The laws, statutes, and commandments were not given to the world. It was given only to the children of Israel to obey them. The black man and woman in the Americas, the descendants of slaves, are a special people unto God, placed here upon this earth for a specific purpose. And that purpose is to teach all nations, to teach all nations about their God. That purpose has been ignored. We have been clinging to all other philosophies, just like in the days of old. The most successful ones are the ones that plays the Russian roulette with our emotions. For every time you see a fleshless black baby on television, the cause of that fleshless baby would be the cause of our downfall, spiritually and eventually physically. The black male today in the Americas is becoming an endangered species. Spiritually locked up in his recycled self because of strange philosophies that are dominant in his surroundings. We are the only race of people who sees all black people as the same. This is not true. We should stop this display of ignorance. The children of slavery are a special people unto God. You are a special people unto God. It is okay to love and admire great nations like Egypt and Ethiopia, but to be connected with the philosophy and worship is wrong. The worshiping of a God based on the philosophy of Egypt is spiritual suicide to this holy people. The Egyptians were the ones that enslaved the children of God
the children of Israel. And you can't say that one was from the other and the other from the other. Because if that was the case, then Moses would have been known, lived in the house of the Pharaoh. It would mean then that Moses, being a black man like the Egyptians, was an Israelite. But the Egyptians were the enemy of God. Those who read your Bible, go home and read Psalm 78, Psalm 105, Psalm 106. And Egypt were called the enemy of God. And I'm telling you today, for the want of identity, that we are walking backwards and falling down over strange philosophies that are not ours. We must understand there was no white Egyptian until 333 to 331 BC, the time of Alexander. You said he was great. You see, again, we must understand one thing. We are the only people, and these are for the people who knows the Bible and read them. We are the only people that talk about roots. We talk about roots because we are not confident of who we are. We are leaders, and we have taken that leadership and sat down on it, and is still sitting down on it. Abraham came out of the Chaldea. He was born in Ur of the Chaldea. And he came out and he went to a place where God sent him. God blessed Abraham and cursed Babylon. He did not look for roots. He could not. Even when he had to find a wife for his son, he sent a servant. And then the servant says, if I don't find her, I'll come back and let your son go. He says, no. Before my son go, I will release you from this oath that you've taken. Moses came out of Egypt, a prince. God blessed Moses and damned Egypt. Yet today, I know, but I'm not here for praise. There is nothing, I repeat, there is nothing like universal love, that all men are not created equal. If all men were created equal, we would have there the same measurement, that's statues, not measurement of anything else. Skin and hair texture would have been the same. Our ability and talent would have all been the same. The Bible that we so much love to read, thank you for leaving, the Bible that we so much love to read do not speak of universal love. This Bible speaks only of God and his people, the children of Israel. There is nothing in that Bible about nothing else. There is no universal love in that Bible. When you go home, you read it. It was in the book of Matthew that you have read that Jesus, that you know personally, I assume, he called a woman that was not an Israelite a dog. Must I take the bread of my people and give it to dogs? Jesus said that 2 times. Read it. In the book of Amos, what did he say? Of all the people that I've known upon this earth, you only have I chosen, and because you have disobeyed me, I will punish you. He was not saying that to the world. He was saying it only to the children of Israel. Damn it, we must understand that before we move from the where we are today. Who am I is the question. Who are you? The answer to this question will determine the fate of your future. The belief that you are everything else that you say you are and are not is costing us our dignity. We have no class in the eyes of others. We don't seem to do anything right. Let me tell you something. We can't even break the law properly. We says that black people commit crime. We can't even do that right. I'm listening to the news. The police are looking for a man that just killed another man for a gold chain. He's black. The police is looking for a man who just killed another of his own for a loony. He's black. Listen to this. The police is looking for a man who held a Brinks truck for $50 million. He's white. The police are also looking for a man who kept the bank. He's white. You can't do that right. You can't even break the law right, and you pay barely for that. And you talk about unity, and you kill each other for loonies. What kind of unity is that? If you had the power of God and know who you are, you would have had real unity. After you have listened to what I say today, there is a chance that you might not love me anymore, but you see, I am not here to generate a feeling of happiness. You know where to get that. I am not here to generate a feeling of anxiety. I am only here that you may know that somewhere in your tomorrow there might shine that ray of hope. That somewhere in your tomorrow, if you understand, there might be that substance of real life. After you have left with your ears ringing from my conversation with you, you will still hear my voice in the still of the night. And if you happen to have any solitary moment, we blame the white man for everything under the sun, while we put our forefinger to work, while our thumb is at rest. I find it very hypocritical to criticize him and at the same time embrace his philosophy. He is who he is, and you can't change that. You are who you are. If you had remained the person you were, with him being the person he is, then all of us would have been able to coexist and live together with a common respect for each other. But you worship his God, copy his culture, celebrate his pagan ways, and still at the same time say how much you hate him. His philosophy is too dominant, and you don't have any. You copy and substitute all the time. You are free to be original, even though by nature you are. You are different from every man else, but you are afraid to use your originality. There's only one woman that was original. Her name, you probably know her. Her name is Ellen White. She is the founder of the Seventh-day Adventists. Now, most of you are from the Caribbean, I assume. Then you know about Carnival. You know about Caravana. In other words, you got rhythm. But this white woman, and she got more black people in her church than anybody else. This white woman, you got to study why she said nobody should shake in her church. No Seventh-day Adventist people could even do like that. You know what? Black people, they obey that woman to the T and forsake God. They break all his rules and they take Ellen White. Her name is just like her, you know, suit her. Suddenly, we're all Africans. We are proud of where we came from. So now they have a white Jesus that we used to pray to all the time. Now you know about blackness and black Jesus, and you don't know when did this Jesus suddenly become white. All the time the first people are black, suddenly you got a white Jesus. Now, this Jesus here, so you take him down. No, with Jesus is not white. Let's put a black one on the cross. When you should have been getting rid of the cross, you're gonna love this man so much that they killed him. And they killed him with the cross. Then you grab hold of the same thing that killed him, and you grab it hold. If I kill your child with a knife, would you take that knife and say it's holy? The cross came all the way from Babylon, all the way come right down to Rome and kill God's people, then you embrace it. You got a white, fat, a white man coming all the way from north to black people with gift telling your children he coming down chimney. And he knows when you're good, knows when you're bad. That is Christianity. And the Bible is not a Christian book, lady. It is an Israelite book. These are all philosophies taken by the white man and fool you. Which white man come with a long beard and they are so pervert? They're pervert. All these black women sitting down on their laps and fighting to do it. Tell them about Jesus' birthday. What Jesus? Would Mary take some Jesus and put a donkey and go in the snow? Israel put 415 Palestinians right now in Israel and they're dying from the snow. Now this is a God without compassion. If he's going to take this time to make his son born in this cold and got to go all the way in this black land to hide, take him on a donkey and go into Egypt. Now you're going to send this white Jew into black Egypt to hide? What kind of people are we? Let us ask ourselves, who was it that really enslaved us? Was it the white man? You keep boasting how rich, strong, and vibrant Africa was, including the empires of Songhai, Malay, and the Gold Coast, where most of us are from, time of slavery. What happened? What happened to that power? Did a white man just came in and took it? If this is true, then there were no real power. Think about it. Who were the ones that overran Africa and sold our fathers and our mothers and our babies and run our brothers down in the field, whipped him and put a yoke on his neck and dragged him? Who was it? Who were the ones that knew our bedrooms? Who were the ones that raped our mothers and our sisters first? Who? Who knew our father's secret? Was it the white man? Who was the ones that built warehouses to pack our father's flesh, waiting for the white man's 30 pieces of silver, waiting for the tall ships for the white man to come in to dispose of the cargo of our father's flesh? Who did that? The white man bought you from somebody and did not run in the jungle and catch you. He didn't know it. I tell you today, they're calling those same warehouses slave palaces. In Ghana, that's what it is called today, slave palaces. And they may be right, because palaces are the homes of royalty, and we are of royal lineage. We are of the blood of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob. We are of the blood of kings. when you should have answered all this truthfully. I know some of you would just want to argue, but when you should answer it truthfully, your mind will be at peace. Today, those same warehouses where the dreams of our fathers and our mothers and our sisters and our brothers died are still standing. The ones that had sold us are the real enemies. And they now are quickly forgotten and forgiven only because they look like us. And this is unfair. If we were never sold, we would never been bought here in the first place. We should put the blame squarely where it belongs, on the shoulders of those that have done this terrible crime to us. The ones that are, they calling themselves the children of Ishmael. But then again, it was the will of God. Because of our disobedience, we were made slaves again and again. We are in that same predicament today. We are still in ignorant disobedience to our God. We run after everyone else's God. And again, like whores, according to the Bible, we suffer the same fate. We stumble and fall, chasing after traditional of others, all the tradition. We become all like dead men and women, living and serving in the congregation of the dead. God sent the children of Israel, and he says to go into Canaan, destroy them. He was not a compassionate God when he sent them into Canaan. He said destroy them and get rid of them. But the children of Israel embraced them and served their God. And for that they punished and were made slaves. Then you traveled all the way back, and you came again back to Babylon, back to Egypt, back to North Africa, back to the Iberian Peninsula, and then back to Africa, Western Africa, where you were made slaves again. Because then you took the spirit of everybody else because of your receptiveness. Such a spiritual people. Do any of us really believe we can save Africa? Any of us can undo the will of God? Can we make the desert give water? Can we make the crops grow? Let them who have broken the backs of the nation and caused the agony of Africa, let them, the ones who destroyed Africa with their philosophy, save her now. It is all right to tell a man to lift himself from his own bootstraps, but it's a cruel gesture to tell a bootless man to lift himself off from his own bootstrap. The words of Martin Luther King. We can't get along among ourselves, therefore we can never help anyone else. Africa, to me, doesn't seem that it is willing to help itself. While we are getting all upset and emotional, a leader in the Ivory Coast just finished building a white church that cost his people millions and millions of dollars and invited the Pope. His people need bread, and he built a church for $140 million and calling the white Pope from Poland. I am trying to say that when we pray together, we call about Africa, we must first understand ourselves. We must understand who we are and discipline ourselves. And we can only get that by going back to our real roots and not Africa. We as a people here in the Americas must re-educate ourselves. First, we must learn to love ourselves. Build our spirituality through knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that was once ours. We must learn how to fight the enemy within to get the strength to fight the enemy without. I have been accused of trying to divide black people, like I will be hearing again when I sit down. Can I divide a people that are already apart? Can I separate a nation that has many kings? If little me was that effective, this people would have been a better race. But on the contrary, my message to you is to have love among you, peace within your walls, prosperity within your gates, and to love your neighbor as yourself. For it is said that a kingdom that is divided against itself can never stand, and a house that is divided against itself falleth. After we have filled our vessels with a doctrine of truth, not love, truth would give you genuine love. For there can be no real love for each other if we're not all in one single accord. For nothing from nothing leaves nothing. If you don't have, you can't give. If you don't have love for yourself, you can't give it to anyone else. Love without truth is love without God. And a people without God would be like a ship tossed about in open sea without a sense of direction. When truth and with truth, we as a people will have the understanding of genuine love. Then and only then we will be able to progress and share that love spiritually, physically, and economically. Then and only then we as a people will be able to find our way back. For we as a people need to find our way back on the path to the promised land. Thank you very much.